Hey guys, welcome back to The Mind of Brandon, and welcome back to another sexy Saturday. As indicated by the title of this video, Philip DeFranco educates us with ageist regressive parental propaganda. So the inspiration for today's video is a Philip DeFranco video titled, Why We Need to Talk About Finn Wolfhard and Other Child Actors. Before we get into that, though, I have a couple stories I need to tell. The first one takes place roughly a decade ago-ish, working at this hole-in-the-wall pizza restaurant. I was having a conversation with a couple of my coworkers. And we'll just call these coworkers Matt and Johnny. Now, there was a girl we worked with whose name came up in our conversation, and Matt said, "You know, she's actually pretty hot." To which Johnny responded, "Dude, she's 16. So Matt said, "Ew, gross!" So initially Matt was honest about his sexual attraction to this woman until Johnny made him feel insecure about that sexual attraction by pointing out her age. So in an attempt to avoid negative judgment, Matt thought it was necessary to pretend there was something gross about this girl because of her age. And this, of course, is because across the United States, there's this man-made law handed down to us by ancient ignoramuses that pretends that at the age of 18, poof, magically, all of a sudden you're an adult. And so anything prior to that is considered a minor. So it's actually become pretty customary that if someone is over the age of 18, but they want to have sex with someone under the age of 18, then we pretend that there's something horribly wrong with them. Obviously, they're a sick fuck and they belong in prison. Now, this, of course, is dishonest bullshit, or what I like to refer to sometimes as parental propaganda, or I don't want my little baby growing up too fast syndrome. And this is because once upon a time here in the United States, it was actually somewhat normal and culturally acceptable for parents to marry off their adolescent daughters as young as 10 to grown men against their will, arranged marriages, okay? And so, this means that, girls as young as 10 were basically being sent away to be raped. Sent away by their parents to be raped. Now, I'm guessing that most of you are just as disgusted by this as I am, and there was a public outcry against it, and eventually legislation passed changing the legal age of marriage to 16. So now it would be illegal for people to marry people under the age of 16. Or in other words, in a situation where they could have just gotten rid of arranged marriages, they instead decided to change the legal age of marriage. And if I understand correctly, this is what led to the concept of jailbait. When you want to have sex with someone, but it's illegal to have sex with them, okay? And this was basically the precursor to these different age of consent laws that we have across the United States. Even though, you're not considered an adult until 18, different states have different age of consent laws now. So in some states, it's, well, the same age as the age of adulthood, 18, but there's other states that make the age of consent only 17. Some take it as low as 16. In fact, 16 is actually the age of consent here in the state of Washington, but I've gotten the impression a lot of Washingtonians don't actually realize that. But anyway, the second story I wanted to tell takes place a few years later at the same pizza restaurant. This is after I had received my promotion to a management position. Basically, one night, me and one of the other employees were working on closing up shop. We just had a few minutes left until close. And then all of a sudden, a couple of pretty attractive young women come walking into the store. And they looked like they were roughly the same age-ish. Technically, one of them looked like she was maybe a little bit older than the other one. This was not based on her body. As far as the body goes, she actually looked a little bit younger. What made her look older was her skin. Okay, something about her skin seemed more matured than the other one, I guess. But the younger looking one, the one that had a pretty nice rack, and she was kind of flaunting it. She comes over, she plops her tits right down on the counter. She puts her arms out on the counter, folds them up like that. She says, "Hey, guess what?" So I said, "What?" She says, "Tomorrow's my birthday." So I asked, "Oh, how old are you going to be?" Right? And I'm expecting her to say that she's turning 18 because she looked roughly 18-ish. And she was kind of making a big deal out of it. As we've established, 18 is kind of a big deal. But she did not tell me she was turning 18. What she said is, "I'm gonna be 12! Beautiful tits, though. Now, this other girl, the one that looked like she was only slightly older than this 12-year-old, she sees the look of shock on my face, when I hear the girl's age. She says, "Yeah, that's my daughter," like in a way that communicates, "Yeah, I'm used to that reaction." So it turned out one of these girls was pretty significantly younger than I thought, while the other one was pretty significantly older than I thought. So after the girls left, I went over to the guy I was working with. I was like, "Did you see those girls that were just in here?" He's like, "Yeah," because he's thinking, "Yeah, what a couple of hotties, right?" So I told him what just happened. He's just like, "What? That girl was only 12? No way!" So ever since that happened, this is a story that I love telling people because I like to see their reactions, and it tends to lead to pretty interesting conversation. People are typically pretty amused by this story, and they're actually very understanding because heterosexual males, they get it. They know what it's like. They understand that the features that we tend to find physically attractive in a grown woman, well, probably about half those features, tits, hips, things like that, they start developing at puberty, right? The other features, well, we tend to prefer slim women, I believe, and so that just has to do with physical fitness, health, that sort of thing. Another feature would be, I guess, skin. Are they all old and wrinkly, or do they look youthful? And we, of course, prefer youthfulness, generally speaking. So, like I said, typically when I tell this story to heterosexual males, they get it. They tend to be pretty supportive. It's when I tell it to females that they kind of cringe. They're like, "Oh, that's so creepy, right? What the hell's wrong with you?" There was this one dude that I told the story to. He's like, "You probably shouldn't tell that story. It kind of makes you look like a pedophile." Now, while the term pedophile is technically kind of subject to interpretation, I think that a more medical or scientific definition would be that a pedophile is someone that has a strong, persistent sexual preference for prepubescent children. And of course, a 12-year-old with a nice rack is not exactly a prepubescent child. That would be classified as a preteen adolescent young woman. That being said, we'll label someone as a hebephile if that strong, persistent sexual preference is for people in the early stages of adolescence. They can be labeled as an ephebophile if that strong, persistent sexual preference is for people in the later stages of adolescence. That being said, I never really experienced sexual attraction to prepubescent children, so I'm not a pedophile. Yeah, I'll occasionally experience a sexual attraction to people in the early stages of adolescence or in the later stages of adolescence, but I wouldn't really go as far as to say that I have a strong, persistent preference for someone in one of those stages. For me, it's like, well, sometimes I prefer someone that's like maybe a decade or so younger than me. Maybe I prefer someone a decade or so older than me. Sometimes I might prefer someone closer to my age. Just kind of depends on what mood I'm in. So I don't really think it's certainly not accurate to label me a pedophile, but I also don't think it's accurate to label me as a hebephile or an ephebophile. I think I'm just a normal ass fucking heterosexual male. But enough about me. Let's get to Philip DeFranco already.
Sup, you beautiful bastards. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Welcome back to the DeFranco Show, and let's just jump into it. And the first thing I want to talk about today is a story, actually stories over the past few weeks that it feels like common sense that this whole situation's a whole lot of no, but apparently it is not that common. And that is a story that's revolving around the kids from Stranger Things. You may have already seen the news. Allie Michael, a 27-year-old model, recently came under fire because she was hitting on Finn Wolfhard. Finn, of course, an actor on Stranger Things. He is also 14 years old. She posted a photo of him to her Instagram story with the caption, "Not to be weird, but hit me up in 4 years, Finn." And after that, there was a lot of backlash. People saying, why are you hitting on a child?
Yeah, except that if we're talking about a 14-year-old, well, think about this a second. 14. Teen as in teenager, right? Not a child. You know, this is an adolescent young man. I realize the term child is subject to interpretation. I mean, you could say that we're all children in the sense that we're all offspring. You know, we're our parents' children, right? Sometimes child is used synonymously with offspring. Some people also use it synonymously with the concept of a minor, but we've already established that's based on some arbitrarily arrived at, you know, age of adulthood. You know, someone pulled out of their fucking ass. And for crying out loud, Ellie looks like she's exactly the same age as this fucking 14-year-old.
Then responded by posting another photo to her Instagram saying, "Hi, yesterday I posted a picture of Mike from Stranger Things and wrote, 'Call me in 4 years.' It was completely and absolutely a joke, but I understand that people have been offended by it. It was wrong to joke about it, and I apologize. I do not want Mike from Stranger Things to call me. I hope this clears things up."
Okay, seriously, Ollie, you didn't do anything wrong, and you don't owe anyone an apology. Sure, some people may have been brainwashed to be offended by or judgmental of what you did, but that doesn't mean there's technically anything empirically wrong with it. There isn't. Literally anything you do, or anything you say or don't say, can potentially offend someone that has been conditioned to think they're supposed to be offended by it. If you're at risk of breaking one of our archaic, regressive, man-made laws, it can certainly be helpful to you for people to point that out, but that doesn't mean you're in the wrong for being honest about your feelings. And looking at this photo, you really could pass for a 14-year-old. But basically, this is just like the situation with Matt and Johnny. Allie was initially honest about her feelings, but became insecure and felt she had to change her tune when people started giving her crap.
Now at this point, I do want to point out that in general in our society, there is a double standard when it comes to men and women, boys and girls. Now keep in mind, I am not saying that double standard is okay. Why I mention that is because before you're about to do something, it's sometimes best to just reverse the roles. So with like the Finn situation, reverse those roles. I do feel like it is unfortunate that I have to say, you know, switch the roles so you can understand how fucking creepy this is. But historically, I have found that that has the highest rate of success for getting people to understand. Example, some guys I know initially responded to this situation going, "Oh man, if I was Finn, I would fucking love this." Hell yeah. But where does your mind go if I, a 31-year-old man, decide to post a picture of Millie Bobby Brown, a 13-year-old actress from Stranger Things? It's just so weird. I can't even finish the sentence. It's creepy. I don't even like creating this fake scenario to help people understand. If I said, "Call me in 5 years," that would be the most fucking disgusting thing ever.
Actually, all you have to do is a Google image search for the most disgusting thing ever, and you'll find plenty of examples of things that are far more disgusting than that ever could be. In fact, strange thing, no pun intended, in her more recent photos, she actually looks, I don't know, a little older.
That is a child that you're talking about.
No, it's not. This is clearly an actual woman.
And I'm mentioning this not so Allie Michael's career gets ruined, but so that this can become an educational experience. People can learn from it, grow from it, be better people.
Oh, you're educating people, because for a moment there I got the impression that you were just regurgitating some ageist, regressive parental propaganda. And all at the expense of a young woman who just expressed her interest in a young man. Alright, you guys know my thoughts. Let's hear your thoughts down below in the comments section. That's it for this video, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and share it with other people. If you're interested in watching my future videos, please subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. So have a good one, guys, and peace.